Today I wanted to talk about why I stopped believing in the Big Bang Theory. So I live in America and I went through the public school system like most people in America, and all that they teach you is evolution, and they never give you any other perspectives. It's always evolution, the Big Bang Theory, that's what's taught pretty much all the way through college. I never got any sort of introduction or anything into creationism or any other viewpoint. You just kind of accepted the Big Bang Theory as fact, and if you went against that, the teachers told you were dumb and that there really is no other theory. The Big Bang Theory and evolution, that's fact and that's what actually happened. So I went through most of my life up until this point just believing that because that's what everybody told me. That's what the scientists say and that's what the teachers say. It wasn't until I got on YouTube actually that I started to look and see other perspectives. So I just want to lay the foundation right here of what the Big Bang Theory is. So I'm going to play this right here.
Where do we begin? Let's begin at the beginning. Let's begin with the Big Bang.
The Big Bang is a theory of cosmic evolution. It tells us how the universe evolved, how it changed from a split second after whatever brought it into existence, and we still don't know what that is until today.
When you look out at the universe and look at the other distant galaxies, you see that they're all fleeing away from us, that they're all moving outward at huge velocities. If you extrapolate that all the way back, you see that one time, maybe 13 or 14 billion years ago, everything that there was must have been compressed into one inconceivably dense point.
We know we don't have the whole story, but we've never had the whole story in the history of physics. We've had a series of better and better approximations revealing startlingly more and more beautiful and interesting truths.
The Big Bang is our theory for the beginning of the universe. But for a long time, people either didn't think about the origin of the universe, or they assumed the universe had always existed and was everlasting. Even scientists were reluctant at first to embrace the Big Bang.
It was meant to be a derisive term. However, the Big Bang is really a contradiction because it was not big and there was no bang. It wasn't big because we think that the universe started from a singularity of some sort, and there was no bang because there was no air to carry the vibrations. So a Big Bang is in some sense is a misnomer, but the name stuck.
And so has the theory.
Right now I would say that the Big Bang Theory is a solid.
Alright, so that's a little snippet on the Big Bang Theory. I want to show you one other one.
But one of the things we have to put in perspective is how recent our understanding of the universe is. 80 years ago, the conventional wisdom in science was that the universe was static and eternal, had been around forever.
But this changes in 1929. At California's Mount Wilson Observatory, Edwin Hubble...
Okay, so as you can see from that's the Big Bang Theory. So they don't really exactly know, if the Big Bang Theory actually happened. It's just, that's what we're taught, in science class as fact. So then when I got on YouTube, I was able to hear a different perspective, one that I had never heard before. So here we go.
Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Okay, is what they'll say. But then out of the same breath, you know what they'll say next? They'll say, and look, honestly, I think that most people just don't even understand the Big Bang. Because if they understood the Big Bang, they wouldn't believe in it. Yeah. But 99% of people, they don't even understand the Big Bang because they think the Big Bang was a Big Bang. Which, I mean, from the name, yeah, you think so. And it was a Big Bang. But here's the thing. This is what they say. They say that it all came back. And this is what people who believe in the Big Bang, which is a new theory from the last 100 years. Those who believe in the Big Bang believe that, all of the matter in the entire universe, are you listening? They believe that it was all crammed into a dot that was so small you couldn't even see it. It was even smaller than a single proton, okay? Everything in the universe, the world, the sun, the stars, the moon, if you understand the Big Bang, you'll understand that it was all crammed into a little dot that was smaller than a single proton. Now that's pretty dense. To hold everything. And also all of space and time and matter, everything. That's all that existed was a dot. Then the dot exploded, okay? Because it was just too much energy in too small of a space. I can see why it exploded. If you're going to cram the whole universe into one dot, it's so small you can't even see it, of course it's going to explode. And so it exploded, and then when it exploded, they say that it expanded to the size of our current universe in 1 trillionth. Not a trillionth, my friend, but a trillionth of a second to the current size. Well, here's my question. If nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, how did it get from that dot all the way out to the edges, the debris? How did it get to the edges in a trillionth of a second? And then this is what they say. Well, that's one of the mysteries of physics. That's actually something that we've been grappling with for the last 100 years. We're just trying to understand how that little dot exploded in a trillionth of a second, and the whole universe and everything came from it. Well, maybe it just didn't happen. Because it's stupid. Because it doesn't make any sense, because it's a lie.
That's right.
And you know why they come up with that lie? The Bible says that they, because of their own lusts, read 2 Peter chapter 3. Because of their own sinful lusts, in 2 Peter 3, it says that because of their own lust, they are willfully ignorant that God created the earth. And that God sent a flood upon the earth and destroyed the world in the days of Noah. They don't want to believe it. They want to get their big fat paycheck to teach a lie down at ASU and to commit adultery with their students and look at porno and get drunk and say, yep, trillionth of a second. And all these little morons at ASU are just like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. This is really fascinating. I love science. I'm going to get a degree in science. And they believe this garbage because they're fools. Because the Bible says the fool has said in his heart there is no God. And it's nonsense. They used to say that the Big Bang was the size of a period on the page. The whole universe. But then they're like, hey, if we're going to say it's the size of a period, let's go all the way. It was the size of a proton. You can't even see it. It was so small. Because look, people are more likely to believe a big lie than a little lie. Let's just tell a big whopper. Hey, why say it happened in 1 year? It happened in a trillionth of a second. And these same people say, you actually believe God created the whole universe in 6 literal days? 6 days is a lot longer than a trillionth of a second. That's a long time. 6 days. 24 hours in a day. They think that nothing created it in a trillionth of a second. We at least believe that God did it in... I've even seen a chart. You're not going to believe this. I've seen a chart mapping out the first trillionth of a second. Breaking it down even further. Like, okay, when we were 1/8 of the way into the trillionth of a second, here's what the universe looked like. I'm not kidding. Look it up on the internet. These charts exist. When we were halfway through the trillionth of a second, here's what the universe looked like. You can't make this stuff up. These people, you have to be, what kind of drugs were these people taking when they even made this stuff up? It shouldn't be called institutions of higher learning. It should be institutions of high learning. But anyway, I'm off on a rabbit trail. I need to get back to the Bible here. I need to get out of this weird twilight zone that I've gone into in the last 5 minutes of the sermon. But the bottom line is, people believe what they want to believe. You show them the truth in the Bible, they choose to believe it or reject it based on what they want to believe. And if they want to believe in the Big Bang, if they want to believe in evolution, if they want to believe in space aliens and everything that a lot of these people believe in, They're going to believe in it because they want to believe in it. Well, I want to believe in the Bible. So that's what I believe in. Except here's that you say, well, what's the difference? The difference is that the Bible's true and that everything else is a lie. That's what the difference is. That's not logical. Well, okay, then your Big Bang is very logical, so I'm going to let you stick with that then. You're such a logical creature. You stick with the Big Bang. I'll stick with my illogical Bible here. And we'll see who ends up burning in hell at the end of it all.
Okay, so now that you get to see both of them side by side, you know, you could say, well, the Big Bang Theory, that's still, but scientists say that it is. Yeah, but they don't even really agree, because some of them think that the world started from like a pinpoint or a small dot, and then some of the scientists think that it started from nothing. So I'm going to pick on Lawrence M. Krauss here a little bit, just because I found it ironic that he wrote a book called A Universe from Nothing, which to me makes absolutely no sense. A universe from nothing. So there was nothing and then everything is. So, and also I like this quote from him because it totally, this is so funny because it totally happened to me, but in the opposite direction. So he says, the one experience that I hope every student has at some point in their lives is to have some belief you profoundly deeply hold prove to be wrong, because that is the most eye-opening experience you can have, and as a scientist, to me, is the most exciting experience I can ever have. Well, it happened to me, Lawrence Krauss, because I believed all your lies and all your Big Bang Theory universe from nothing, because that was what was programmed into me from kindergarten through college, and now I don't believe it at all. And I also believe that if both sides were able to be shown to people, I mean, one isn't more unbelievable than the other. I mean, the universe from nothing and creationism, they're both equally believable and unbelievable at the same time. So, but here, this gets a glimpse into what hypocrites there are in the school system today, because here's another quote. He says, if you think about it, teaching kids or allowing the notion that the earth is 6,000 years old to be promulgated in schools is like teaching kids that the distance across the United States is 17 feet. That's how big an error it is. Now you might say, look, a lot of people believe that, so don't we owe it to them to allow their views to be present in school? Yeah, well, you should say yes, but no, he says, well, as I've often said, the purpose of education is not to validate ignorance, but to overcome it. But what a hypocrite, because in the video he's like, scientists used to believe that there was no Big Bang and that the universe had always existed. So they were ignorant, and they spread that ignorance as fact for 80 years. And then, yeah, he admits it out of his own mouth, and then he says, so my thing is, how can he be so arrogant now? What if the Big Bang is disproved in 80 years, and schools have been teaching that ignorance for 80 years, but people like him, they refuse to see their own hypocrisy because they're blinded by pride, and the Bible talks about this in Romans. In Romans it says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Yeah, that's pretty much what this guy's doing right here. And then here we go in Timothy. God talks about science falsely so called. He says, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings in opposition to science falsely so called. So in the Bible, you know, it says that there's going to be science falsely so called. And my favorite part about the Bible, it says, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines. So they had a diverse and strange doctrine originally, because he said, well, first of all, a universe from nothing is a strange doctrine to me. And also they were like, oh, we used to think 80 years ago that the universe just always existed. But then we were like, oh, there was a Big Bang. And it kind of makes me wonder, when they did realize that there was a Big Bang, were they like, oh no, this might prove that God exists, because maybe God created the Big Bang. So they were probably like, how are we going to spin this? How are we going to spin this? Because maybe that evidence that there was a Big Bang and they used to think that the universe just always existed, maybe the Big Bang is evidence for God. But they never think of that because they want to think that they're smarter than ever. But so now this is what I believe. Genesis, the very first sentences of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.